What's up, everybody? I'm James Withy, and today I'm going to provide some advice for first-time tattoo collectors. All right, so I know it's been a couple of months since I posted. Part of the reason for that was because I kind of felt a little bit unhappy with the quality of my videos in terms of like how good my camera equipment was and the sound on my videos. So I've been spending a lot of time working on getting that stuff better, and I have like an all new camera setup, and I have new like sound recording equipment, and I decided to move my videos out of my little YouTube studio with the like black paper background that I was using and into my kitchen right here. So hopefully everybody likes the new adjustments that I've made. If you do, let me know in the comments after you're done watching this video, and I'll go ahead and consider your feedback. So in this video, like I said in the intro, I'm gonna be providing some tips for first-time tattoo collectors out there. And I think I'm gonna be speaking like more to the type of clients that are looking to get like a more serious custom piece for their first one. Although a lot of the stuff that's in this video is gonna be useful even for people that are just looking to get like a simple, small tattoo. So for the first tip, the best advice I can give you is to do your research and make sure that you are looking before you leap, so to speak. And what I mean by that is you should be trying to immerse yourself to a fair degree in tattoo culture, you know, reading through forums, watching videos like this, and really trying to figure out like some of the little nuances in the tattoo industry that people wouldn't understand if they've never been exposed to it before, such as like vocabulary, like terminology that we use, etiquette in the tattoo industry, and also maybe even the most important part of that is exposing yourself to a large amount of like tattoo imagery so that you can expand what I call your visual vocabulary as a client. And what I mean by that is like when you first start collecting tattoos, you haven't really seen a whole lot of them. So like the sample that you have to draw from in terms of data when you're imagining what your tattoo might look like is very small. So oftentimes people that haven't seen a lot of tattoos, they start to run into like this situation where what they're imagining is actually far below the quality that they can possibly get because they just haven't seen tattoos that look really amazing, haven't been exposed to a bunch of different styles that maybe one of those would actually like line right up with what they would identify with artistically. And you know, as a result, they end up getting a piece that they kind of regret later because they didn't realize how cool it could be, if that makes any sense. So best way to like expand your visual vocabulary is definitely going to be by just viewing more tattoos, either in person or on social media. Instagram is a really great tool for that. So you know, if you could find a couple tattoo artists that you like their artwork a lot, and then look at who they're following on Instagram, and then oftentimes it's going to be a bunch of other tattoo artists because they're constantly absorbing visual information, tattoo information for the same reason, just kind of like expanding their horizons or whatever. So by doing that, you'll very quickly have a bunch of tattoos in your Instagram feed. And the more of those you look at, the more you'll get an idea of like what different types of tattoos are out there, you know, how good tattoos can look, how bad tattoos can look. And you'll be able to naturally distinguish between a good and a bad tattoo. And that'll help you kind of develop like a taste for tattoo art in general. Another really great thing about the like absorbing a lot of visual information and expanding that visual vocabulary is going to be that you'll start noticing trends in tattooing, seeing the same tattoos over and over and over. And if you don't want to have a tattoo that looks like a whole bunch of other people's, then it'll help you in avoiding getting a tattoo that is somewhat cliche. So I don't know, like a good example of that would be like the infinity symbol tattoo. I think every tattooer kind of makes fun of that a little bit behind closed doors. I've done that one a bunch of times in my career early on. You know, I've done, I don't know, maybe even hundreds of infinity symbol tattoos, especially the ones that have like a little cursive name in it. And I think that every person that was getting it, it's very likely that they probably saw it on one other person or saw it on Pinterest or something like that, and decided, hey, that would look pretty cool on me, and they ended up getting it. But then afterwards, I imagine this happening because it's happened to me like to a lesser extent. Afterwards, they probably end up running into a bunch of people in real life and in the streets and then kind of seeing like, oh, everybody has the same tattoo as me or whatever. And it just seems less special in their mind. And the reason I think that that's true is because I've actually covered a lot of infinity symbol tattoos as well, because people just kind of lost their taste for them after a while. And I suspect very heavily that that's because they realize that it's kind of a basic tattoo, you know? So no disrespect to anybody out there that has an infinity symbol tattoo. You know, like I said, I've done a bunch of them. You know, there's no problem with having one. But like I said, this video is more directed towards people that want to be serious tattoo collectors and get like a more custom piece. And the infinity symbol is just a very easy way for me to demonstrate that point, that you can avoid cliches by constantly viewing what's trending in tattooing right now. Okay, so tip number 2 is going to be all about deciding what you want to get for your tattoo. And what I mean by that is like your subject matter, placement, all that sort of stuff. Your tattooer, when you go for your consult, is going to ask you about all these things. And you don't necessarily need to have like really specific answers in terms of like size and placement and all that stuff, but you just have to have like a general idea of what you want the tattoo to look like, so that the tattooer can kind of fill in the blanks for you and help you really get to like a finalized version of whatever your vision is. And you know, tip number 1 with the whole expanding the visual vocabulary will help massively with that, because you can pick a tattoo idea and there will be like a million different ways to skin that cat, so to speak. So seeing a lot of different tattoo styles and iterations of the same subject matter will help a lot with you imagining what you would prefer to wear on your body stylistically, and that plays a big part in terms of knowing what you want in your tattoo. Now, if you guys remember, in one of my older videos, I have discussed whether or not a tattoo has to have meaning, like personal meaning, in quite a bit of detail. And if you want to, you can pop over and check that video out. But the short answer to that is no, I don't think a tattoo has to have a lot of meaning, but it is good if a tattoo is both a good piece of artwork and has some sort of personal meaning that you can identify with. So, you know, thinking about what you want and why you want it is really important. But while that's true, one thing that I do want to mention is that a common mistake that I see first-timers making when they have chosen what they want for their tattoo is they tend to be a little bit too literal with what they want to get as a tattoo. So I'm talking about like people that, you know, they'll get something that seems really safe to them, that they're going to love for the rest of their life. There's no chance they're going to end up regretting it, and that'll be like, I don't know, their grandmother's birth date or something like that, or something that has to do with like their religion, like a little cross or something, or the name of their daughter or something like that. And I feel like while those can be cool tattoos, and obviously there's nothing wrong with getting something like that, a lot of people choose to get those things simply because they are making a safe play and they really just don't want to jump out there and take a risk with getting something else. And I totally understand that. But just know that when you want to get a tattoo that is meaningful to you like that, there are other ways that are more conceptual or abstract that you can express the same meaning. Like for instance, let's say your grandmother passed away, instead of getting like something to do with her birth date or death date in Roman numerals or something, you can go ahead and get a tattoo of one of her favorite items or objects, or like a hobby. Let's say your grandma like collects porcelain dolls or something. You can get a porcelain doll tattoo, which I don't know, might be a little creepy, but you get what I mean. Like there's other ways to create a piece of artwork that is visually stunning on its own, but the meaning of it is somewhat like hidden under some layers, to where it's not so in your face and literal, and in my opinion, sometimes boring. Also, it's going to prevent you from getting like a really basic tattoo that we call a floater in the industry, which is just like a small like black work tattoo, or little lettering tattoo, or a number tattoo that just kind of chills like in a random area on your body and interrupts you from getting like larger, more cohesive artwork on your body that's all tied in and integrated later down the line. Which brings me to another point. You want to kind of, I know this is going to get off topic a little bit, but this is a really important point, is that you want to try to envision how heavily tattooed you want to be in the end before you get your first one. So maybe this is tip number 3 right here. We're just going to go ahead and jump into some stuff that I didn't even have in my notes here. So you want to try to visualize how heavily tattooed you want to be in the end, if that's possible. You know, some people don't know and they think they're just going to get one little tattoo and then they end up getting addicted and just collecting more and more and more. That's what happened to me when I was younger. But I think these days, a lot of the people that I run into, they definitely have an idea of whether or not they want to be like sleeved down and be like, you know, the tattooed person, or whether or not they just want to get one or two and then, you know, over the course of many years just collect a small amount of tattoos and then just leave it at that with a lot of empty skin on their body. And my suggestion would be that if you do think that there is a significant chance that you're going to be a heavily tattooed person, then you probably should avoid those like little, very literal cliche tattoos that I was talking about, because they're going to throw a little bit of a monkey wrench in your game later on, where they're going to get in the way of larger compositions, particularly if they're just like logo style, like black work type of tattoos that really can't be tied into more artistically complex pieces later down the road without just kind of like tattooing around them to where they'll just like stick out like a sore thumb in the end. So try to, you know, maybe gather some ideas and bring them to your artist and ask them whether or not there is a more creative way of executing those ideas, or whether or not you can do something that is outside of the box. And if you can't figure out a way that is a more creative way of executing those ideas, then ask them about placement and tell them that in the future you probably are going to get heavily tattooed, and your artist will suggest some areas where you can put the tattoo where it can kind of fall back, so to speak, in your overall body composition of all the artwork you've collected and become more of a secondary or tertiary thing. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but basically what I mean by that is, if you have a small, let's say this is the area you're looking to get tattooed, right? And you have like a small basic tattoo right in the middle of it right there, it prevents you from putting something really large and complex that takes up that whole area. Whereas if you put it off like to the side, like at the bottom or something, you can have a big complex piece all right here, and the eye won't go down here to wherever the little basic one is. You'll keep the viewer of the tattoo still looking up here where they're supposed to at that complex piece of artwork. Did I just confuse everybody more? I really don't know, but hopefully that makes sense for you. So you have done your research and expanded your like database of tattoos that you viewed, and you know what a good tattoo is, what a bad tattoo is, so on and so forth. You have decided what you want to get, and you've taken into account that some tattoos might be too literal or cliche or something, and you've decided for yourself whether or not that matters to you. You have visualized how heavily tattooed you want to be in the end, and taking that into account in terms of subject matter and placement and all that stuff to the best of your ability. The next step, tip number 4, what you're going to want to do is select an artist, right? So the best way to find an artist, I have a whole video. I might even deleted it because I didn't like the way I recorded it or whatever. Kind of was nervous and cussed too much or whatever. But anyways, you want to find your artist. There's a lot of different ways to do that. Most people are obviously going to use the internet, so you can use Instagram to find an artist just by going through little rabbit holes of local artists in your area or searching for a hashtag. Like I live in Arizona, for instance, so like hashtag AZ tattoo artist or something. There's going to be a bunch of tattooers on there. You can obviously use Google. You can use Yelp and all that stuff. Check out some different websites, online portfolios. You select your artist, and really that's the nitty gritty of what I want to get to, is that you want to make your selection based on portfolios. So all that data that you've gathered when you were expanding your visual vocabulary and like immersing yourself in tattoo imagery, now that's where it comes into play, to where you're looking at all the different portfolios and you have identified somebody that has a look to their tattoos or is capable of doing the type of tattoo that you want to collect and put on your body permanently. And after that, it's just a matter of trying to figure out the process of how to actually get tattooed by this person. So you're probably going to want to contact them, set up a consult, put down a deposit. I have videos about all these separate things right here, like preparing for your consultation or whatever. You can check those out if you want to know how to go about that. And then you just want to convey your tattoo idea to them and try to figure out what their availability is and when you can actually get this thing done. But I cannot stress enough how important it is to look at the portfolio of the specific person that's going to get your tattoo, because for first timers, oftentimes what they do is they kind of just like force themselves to get a tattoo because they're a little nervous about it, a little scared about it. They get impulsive, and they treat it almost like skydiving, where they're like, let's just fucking go. And they go into a shop, they think they're gonna get a little basic tattoo, and it's no big deal. Any tattooer can do that properly, and then they end up with subpar work because they don't realize that tattooers are at like a whole bunch of different skill levels. You know, there's a really large spectrum in how good and how bad a tattooer can be. And you have to decide for yourself what quality of artwork is acceptable to you and whether or not that's within your budget, and then kind of, you know, align your decision making with that. So definitely look at a lot of portfolios, make a lot of inquiries, ask people how much they charge, whether or not they charge hourly, you know, day rates, whatever. And then you're gonna get a little better idea of what's a fair deal and what's not a fair deal. And, you know, you can even gather that type of information by talking to people that you know that have been tattooed. Ask them how much did that tattoo cost right there, even though that might annoy them a little bit if they paid a lot of money for it, because most people will kind of sneer at expensive tattoos. But if you don't have that intention, then they're probably not gonna care. They're not gonna be bothered by it. So do that, and just gather as much information as you can, and then select your artist and schedule your appointment. So tip number 5, I think I'm on 5, right? So after you schedule your appointment, the next like good piece of advice that I can give you is that you're gonna wanna let go of control. So early on, you know, I told you like be real like thorough and do your research, and think hard about what you wanna get, and make sure you're crossing all your T's and dotting all your I's, so to speak. But once you have selected your artist and you know you have the right person, or at least, you know, think that you have the right person, you're very confident of that, then what you wanna do is stop the whole, try to hold back from your tendency to like micromanage the artist at all. Because a lot of people getting their first tattoos, that's like a common mistake that I see people make, is that they feel like they are, like, because they're nervous about it, they feel like they have to control the entire situation in order to ensure that they get the result that they want. And the thing about that is that oftentimes they end up getting a more basic, artistically unsound piece because it ends up being a tattoo that is limited by what they can visualize as a non-tattooer, as opposed to being like a piece of artwork that expresses the maximum potential of what that artist is capable of. So, you know, my advice would be, like I said, to choose your artist, let them know what you want generally, let them know the style you want generally, let them know the placement generally, but then be open to their suggestions on like specific things that should be adjusted in terms of, you know, your idea. And then if you have the flexibility to be open to that, then you're probably gonna end up with a much better tattoo in the end. All right, so the last tip that I'm gonna give you is gonna be obviously to come prepared for your tattoo session. You know, you want to be well rested. You want to make sure that you aren't hungover. You want to make sure that you're well fed before your session. You want to make sure that your skin is healthy. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it in terms of preparing for a tattoo session, but I have an entire video that is ultra long and thorough that you might want to check out if you are interested in that. It's a really good like checklist, so to speak, to look over before you end up getting your first tattoo and actually going for the session. So check that video out, and you should have as much information as you need on regarding like being prepared for your tattoo session. So that's about it. I feel like this video was kind of hard to plan out because there's a lot of stuff that I could say and want to say to people that are looking to get their very first tattoo. But this is the stuff that I feel like a lot of this stuff are the things that a first-time tattoo client wouldn't think of. And, you know, if you have common sense, then a lot of the other things that I might have, could have included in the video are conclusions that you would come to naturally. But this is the stuff that I wish people would have told me when I very first started collecting tattoos. And I feel like I would have had a better collection overall if I knew these things. But not all of us are, you know, not all of us have people that we know, like, you know, close friends or family members or whatever, that are in the industry or collect a lot of tattoos. So oftentimes this information really just isn't available to us in our normal like social circle. And that's why I think making this video might be useful for some people out there. So if it was useful for you, then definitely go ahead and make sure you drop a like, subscribe to the channel, share it, show it to people that you think are getting ready to collect their first tattoo. Hopefully it helps some people out. If you guys want to check out pictures of my tattoos to verify that I actually know what I'm talking about, then definitely pop over to my website. It's www.jameswithy.com, or you can check out my Instagram. It's @JamesWithyTattoo. And if anybody watching this video maybe wants to get tattooed by me, then you can go ahead and shoot me an email at contact@jameswithy.com, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. So I appreciate everybody watching. Hopefully you have a good day, and we'll see you next time. So actually there is one more important thing that I want to mention, and that is that this video right here is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that has like thousands of different classes for creators that are looking to explore new skills or maybe like beef up their knowledge in a specific creative discipline. They have a really good variety of classes on there that I think are going to be beneficial to not only some of my viewers out there that might want to learn new skills, but also to myself, because I feel like a lot of the stuff they offer is directly related to the creative stuff that I do. So like examples of that might be like, I don't know, film, illustration, fine art, like they teach you how to draw on there, teach you how to paint on there. And one of the classes that I checked out while I was browsing around their site that I thought would be really beneficial for people that are looking to learn how to tattoo, or maybe even people that already tattoo, was a class that was called Start Drawing: Techniques for Pencil Portraits by a person named Gabrielle Bricky. So one of the things that I really loved about this class was how comprehensive it was. She teaches you like what materials you're going to need to start drawing, how to actually apply those materials, like the techniques that she uses to draw portraits, and also a lot of like art concepts that are necessary to be a great portrait artist, such as like anatomy. Like, I don't know, there was one part on there where she was talking about like how to draw the mouth and like what the Cupid's bow is, and being able to like recognize anatomical landmarks like that is really important if you want to get good at drawing faces. So yeah, Skillshare overall is a really great learning tool. There aren't any ads on it. They're always adding new classes to kind of like refresh and update their database and the wealth of information that's on there. And also it's pretty cheap. Like it's only like $10 a month for an annual subscription. If anybody out there is interested in using Skillshare, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a link in my description of this video, and the first 1,000 subscribers that click on that link are going to get a free trial of premium membership. But yeah, go ahead and check that out. I think it's going to be really beneficial to a large amount of viewers that I have, because I know a lot of tattooers watch my channel, and I know a lot of people that are aspiring tattooers watch my channel as well. So that could be a really great way to improve your skill set in terms of being a creative professional, or even just somebody that wants to pick up a new hobby and learn something new. So hopefully you guys enjoy using it. Have a nice day.